Principle of competition exclusion of impact on each species. So competition is an interaction in which both the species having the negative effect, that is a competition between interspecific species, or it is in between the intraspecific species. What is interspecific species? So interspecific species is nothing but the competition between the different species, and intraspecific competition is nothing but the competition between the same species. Now the predation. What is predation? Predation is a competition, the predators having the benefit and prey shows the harms. Okay, so prey is harmed by the predator. So carnivory, it is a true, and herbivory, pathogens and parasitoid. This shows the prey and predation type of interactions. Again, commensalism, that is, it shows the plus and minus. Mutualism having the plus plus, that is, both species are benefited, and Amensalism minus and 0. So one species is harmed and the next species, the second one, is neither harmed and nor benefited. That's why the 0 is indication. Now here the population interaction. So population interaction are the effects organism in a community have on one another. An organism interaction with its environment are a fundamental to the survival of that organism and the functioning of ecosystem as a whole. Population do not exist alone in a nature. The way organisms interact is important for the survival of the species. Okay. There are two types of interaction: intraspecific interaction and interspecific interaction. Intraspecific interaction are those that take part among the organism of the same species, while interspecific interaction are those which happens among the individual of the different species, as we know that. Again, this chart that shows the analysis of two species population interaction. So number 1 is Amensalism. Species 1, it indicates the minus, and species 2, it indicates the 0. So the most powerful animal or the large organism inhibit the growth of the lower organism. Okay, example is cat and the rat. Next one is mutualism. Here the both species get benefit. The interaction is favorable to both species and it is obligatory. Okay, so between the crocodile and the bird, we can say honeybee and the flower. The next example of the mutualism, we can say that. Again, the commensalism. So species 1 get benefit and the species 2, that is not harm or not get the benefit. So population 1, the commensals benefits, while population 2 is a host not affected. Example, sucker fish on a shark. Again, the next one is a competition. So competition is an interaction in which both species get harmed. As we know that a direct inhibition of each species by other for the competition of food, space. Okay, bird, here the examples, that is bird compete with the squirrel for the nuts and the seed. The next competition is parasitism. So the species 1 is the parasite and the species 2 is a, that is host. That is population 1 is a parasite, generally smaller than the host. So the Ascaris lumbricoids are the tapeworm that live in the digestive tract of the human being. So they sucks the digestive juices from the digestive tract of the human. That's why the host get benefit. Sorry, the parasite get the benefit and host are affected by the parasite. Okay, now the predation. So the predation, it shows the species 1 plus and species 2, that is minus. So prey are always predators are always benefited and the prey, that is always harm. That's why the species 1 that shows the plus and species that shows the minus. So population 1 is a predator, generally larger than the prey. For example, lion is predatory on the deer. Now the predator and the prey relationship. Here a predator is an animal that hunts or kills the other animal for a food. The animal that is eaten by the prey. For example, lynx is a type of wild cat that hunts the snowshoe hares in a northern part of the North America. So the size of two population are very closely linked. Okay, now the second one is a competition. It is defined as an interaction between the organism in which the fitness of one overpowers the presence of the another. So there is a competition between the species or between the organism for food, water, territory and the mate. Now the next one is a mutualism. Mutualism is an interaction in which both species get benefit. Examples are flowers and the pollinating insect, for example honeybee, humans and the E. coli, that is intestinal coli, or sorry Escherichia coli, that lives in a intestine of the human. Again that clownfish and the anemone, that is sea anemone. Next is the Commensalism. So one organism receives the benefit from the other while other is neither benefit nor harmed. Here an eaglet eats insect kicked up by the cow as it moves. The eaglet got food while the cow was not affected. Again the sparrow benefited from a fierce hawk called osprey by setting up home below for its protection. Now the next example of Amensalism. So the Amensalism example that shows the one species is harmed and other is not harmed or not benefited. So the next example is the bread mold and the bacteria. So algal blooms can lead to the death of many species of the fishes. However, the algae do not benefit from the death of this individual. Occur when one species hurts the another but does not have benefit from this interaction. That's why it is indicated by a minus and the zero relationship. Now, next example of Amensalism. So, Amensalism is an interaction where one species suffers and the other interacting species experiences no effect. A good example is antibiotic jugal, which is secreted by a black walnut tree. This substance is known to inhibit the growth of the tree, shrubs, grasses and the herbs found growing near the black walnut tree. So the black walnut tree, it secretes a particular type of chemical from its roots and that harms the neighboring plant. This is the example of an Emensalism. Now, the next point is the principle of competitive exclusion and the Gauss principle. So, no two species can coexist and share the same space. This is the principle of competitive exclusion or the Gauss principle of competitive exclusion. No two species can coexist and share the same space if they compete for the same resources within that space. So the coexistence is possible only if resources need not to overlap or a slightly overlap. Niche is nothing but the all ecological parameters under which the species lives and the grow. It may be abiotic and abiotic resources. No two species can share the same niche. Now here the Gauss experiment into niche. So Gauss is a scientist. What he did, so he grow the two species of Paramecium, that is Paramecium orale and Paramecium caudatum. So Paramecium is a genus of protist. So Gauss culture these two species, that is Paramecium orale and Paramecium caudatum. When these two species that grow alone under ideal condition, that is fundamental niche, each population grow into higher or the maximum. When grow together under the same condition, one population would typically dominate the other population. Okay, and other would die off. So this is the neat example of realized niche versus fundamental niche, and it lead to the competitive exclusion principle. Okay, so no two species can exist in a same space. Okay, so you can see here in this diagram, so growth of two Paramecium species separately or in a combination. So separately that grows high and in mixed population, so Paramecium caudatum, that is, it shows the lower growth. Thank you. So, in this slide, what we studied? We studied the type of interaction between the species and Gauss principle. Okay, so what is that? The no two species can exist in a same space. Thank you.